Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sebe Kadana. I'm Senior Manager in the Innovation and Deployment Department at Ectico and 5G LOGINNOV Project Coordinator. It's my pleasure today to welcome you to the challenges and opportunities for connected and automated driving, transport, logistics, and big data session. So I am delighted that today's event will bring together international experts with different backgrounds across Europe. I'm confident that you'll benefit greatly from today's sharing by our distinguished speakers. I hope that you'll be inspired by their experience, gain insight on transforming your business to a successful growth enterprise, and be the agent of change for your business. I would like to express my thanks to all speakers, panelists, and guests to be here with us. So please let me introduce the project. Jointly organized by the European H2020 project, so 5G Meta, 5G LOGINNOV, and Show. So this workshop explores the various applications of 5G, connected automated driving use cases with a focus on the automotive and logistics sector. As you know very well, data has become an extremely important asset, not only to cope with the traffic congestion, connected and automated mobility applications, environmental challenges, and handle upcoming and future logistic capacity, but also to develop economic and innovation, business opportunities for regions, industry, small medium enterprise, and high-tech startups. So 5G Meta, 5G LOGINNOV, and Show will not only use data to stimulate and facilitate innovative products and services, but in the same time will also present solutions regarding the data privacy, security, interoperability, ownership. Thanks to the expertise of the three project consortia, which gather very relevant and well-positioned European stakeholders from research and academia, telecommunications, clusters, incubators, and industry, participants to the workshops will learn about the connected and automated driving, logistic challenges, system architectures, innovation, and services enabled by 5G. So all three projects will present their use cases and the pilot slide. Please let me introduce the speakers. So, the proposed event has two main parts. So, namely a technical session when will be presented all three projects, and after the presentation focused on standardization, we'll continue with a panel session. I will be the moderator of the technical session, and Dr. Joanna Tsanidaki, Director of Innovation of Deployment at Ectico ITS Europe, will be the chairman of the panel session. The event will start with an overview of the 5G LOGINNOV, 5G Meta, and Show. So I will present the 5G LOGINNOV project. Dr. Maria Gemo, together with Pekka Eloranta, will present the Show project. The project part will be closed by Dr. Ohaina Otegui from Vicontech, project coordinator 5G Meta, and together with Peter Schmitting from Ectico, my colleague, that will focus on standardization across of all projects. After these four presentations, we'll follow the panel session in order to address a number of challenges related to the impact of the 5G on mobility, connected and automated driving, transport and logistics, and how 5G will change the future of the business ecosystem. Please, I would like to start the 5G LOGINNOV presentation. So, 5G LOGINNOV, it's an H2020 Innovation Action Project that started last year on the 1st of September. There are 15 beneficiaries from 8 European countries, covering different domains from logistic, automotive, telecom, infrastructure operators, research institutes, and university. So the total budget is almost 8 million, and 6 million is the co-funding of European Commission. Here you are the project partners, so to have an overview of all stakeholders involved in 5G LOGINNOV. When I'm talking about logistics, always it's an open problem. For instance, supply chain management efficiency largely depends upon data and information. On operational level, any stakeholders needs real-time information. If you move one step further on the tactical and strategic level, transportation system needs increased connectivity. Existing systems are currently not linked to each other and thus missing the opportunity to optimize their performances and their cooperation. So therefore, on the market, it's a huge demand for new solutions for connected logistic information system with different characteristics intra and cross company. In the last years, in logistics domain, there were developed and deployed many type of services, so such as data exchange services, end-to-end visibility, data collection, estimated time of arrival, other type of services related to marketplace, route planning, CO2 monitoring, and so on. And then, of course, what else? The logistics and transport companies and the main stakeholders involved in this domain, now they're facing a huge crisis, because if they will not innovate, they will not be able to grow and they will not be able to survive on the market. So therefore, the innovation is the right solution for them. And within the innovation, the new type of technology, so 5G technology, connected automated driving, Internet of Things, all this artificial intelligence and other applications related are, let's say, the driving force for innovation for all transport and logistic companies. Now let's move to introduce 5G LOGINNOV. So you have seen the vertical, the transport and logistics verticals, and now I will introduce the 5G LOGINNOV. So ports are essential for the European economy. In the same time, ports operators need to comply with increasingly stricter environmental conditions. And 5G technology represent the convergent technology for the new generation of mobile network and new kind of applications. In the same time, 5G technology promises also to address the diverse and rather demanding performance requirement wide range of use cases. So 5G LOGINNOV is based on the 5G technological different building blocks. So new generation 5G terminal, Internet of Things terminal for future connected on automated mobility, new type of devices, next generation traffic management, and emerging subset of 5G network. So I will give also an overview of the use cases in order to understand all these details. In the same time, 5G LOGINNOV will tackle also different challenges related to the network optimization, to the hubs challenges, multi-synchromodal transport networks. So in 5G LOGINNOV, we proposed an innovative approach to build a first-class European industrial core technology based on new Internet of Things 5G devices. So the 5G LOGINNOV will have a high impact in the logistic domain, and also in the industry 4.0. We also have the ambition that to contribute to the emergence of a global standard and globally harmonized future brands for 5G, and in the context of related development of the level of global bodies like 3GPP, ITU, 5G standard, so mostly related to the newest releases. 5G LOGINNOV has 7 main objectives, so related to develop and deployment of the next generation port and logistic hub operations, so new kind of applications based on the 5G technology. The locations of our pilot sites, there are in Hamburg, in Athens, and Luka Koper in Slovenia. Second main objective is to optimize the ports and logistics operations and the maintenance, to reduce significantly port and logistic hub operation emissions. So it's very important to deal with new Green Deal requirements. From the traffic point of view, we have also the ambition to propose a new approach in order to regulate the freight traffic generated by the ports and by the port city areas by using new connected and automating truck platoon approach. So a new kind of use cases linked to Glossa, linked to traffic management system, linked to the new Internet of Things devices. In the same time, our ambition is to also boost the business at the port level, at the hub level, and last but not least, to support standardization of 5G enabled next generation port, and of course to promote and to open the market for new small medium enterprise and innovative startups. So the project concept, so I already highlighted, so we'll deploy, evaluate a number of technology 5G technology based related in 3 main living labs. The major telecom industry from all 3 pilot sites are already involved as beneficiary in 5G LOGINNOV. What is very important for 5G LOGINNOV as a project, so we'll follow a stakeholder-driven approach, considering the ports and the port cities areas in the view of major challenges that, for instance, now are facing. Here you are at glance the 5G LOGINNOV. So I already mentioned the 3 living labs. So Piraeus, Athens in Greece, Hamburg in Germany, and Luka Koper in Slovenia. Just only an overview in order to understand which kind of use cases will be implemented. So there are 11 clusters of use cases. So started from optimal selection of yard tracks. So just only to have an idea. To implement a new kind of optimal surveillance cameras and video analytics based on 4 key. Predictive maintenance, which is very important for any port, and also to see how, for instance, can collect real-time information, and also to demonstrate, for instance, that using this technology, 5G new technology, we have a low latency. Regarding the Hamburg pilot site or living lab, so will be implemented 3 clusters of use cases, so related to floating track and emission data. Automatic track platoon, so we propose here a 5G LOGINNOV green initiative related to this technology, and also a dynamic control loop for environment-sensitive traffic management actions. In Luka Koper Living Lab will be implemented a number of use cases related to port control logistics, remote automation, business critical mission, and critical communications. One step further, so to zoom in a bit in all use cases. So in Athens will be implemented this 5G connected yard external track spot operation use cases. So will be deployed a number of 5G Internet of Things devices. So data sources will be deployed, application use cases related to horizontal movement of containers in port operation, and also will be used different solutions based on artificial intelligence and machine learning for predictive maintenance services. In Luka Koper, so the 3 families are related to port control, logistics, and remote automation. So it's very important to understand how 5G technology can be used for port machinery equipment, with industrial camera for transferring different images, also to identify the containers, and also to detect the damaged structure. Regarding the port infrastructure, it's very important to know that will be also tackled the specific case related to remote metering, so using 5G Internet of Things devices related to operating machine monitoring. And also will be taken the 5G based network services, so as an alternative. So just a moment, because I have a trouble with my computer. So the third cluster, the third use case cluster, so it's related to the 5G connectivity capability that will support the data transfer, and also, of course, will highlight how, for instance, these use cases within 5G ecosystem will have an important role for the operations. In Hamburg, as I already mentioned, those 3 families of use cases related to track emission data, automatic track platoon, using also Glossa as embedded service, data exchange with Varco Traffic Management Center. So how it works? So this is on the left side. So it's the itinerary from Hamburg. So it's in the Hamburg city and port area. Just I assume if you'll be able to attend the ITS World Congress this year in Hamburg, we have the ambition to also to provide and to do a demonstration. So there are a number of roadside units. So all this information are sent in real time to a mobile edge computing, and Deutsche Telekom is taking care of all this infrastructure. All this information connected also with the ITS services from the traffic management center. So all this data from the green line optimal speed advisory are provided to onboard units. So all this information, the loops are closed, and all these trucks are able to keep and to maintain the right distance, because it's very important, the safety. And in the same time, of course, from environment point of view, so we like to also test a number of KPIs related to Green Deal requirements. So, because 5G LOGINNOV, it's a 5G project, but of course the business logic is related to transport and logistics and Industry 4.0. So it's very important to highlight once again the 5G LOGINNOV aspects and 5G aspects. So reliable to mobile edge computing, reliable to positioning, related to automated track platooning, and of course for all this as a corollary, so will be needed ultra reliable and low latency communication system. 5G LOGINNOV will have a high impact not only on the network and telecom operators, but also on the small medium enterprises and 5G policy. So if just only we take into account the impact of the network and telecom operators, that will identify and assess new relationship between any kind of stakeholders involved, and also will try to bring innovative partners in this business. If we are considering the small medium enterprise and startups, so the impact of new small medium enterprise interested in this business, so it's very important for them to open the market, and of course for them it's important that this new kind of niche of the market for new product and services are very important, so related of course to logistics and ports. For them will be also very important to support them in order to identify a real market for them, so real market opportunities. So in this regards, 5G LOGINNOV already has launched an open tender in order to select 5 innovative small medium enterprises that will join our consortium. So the deadline, it's for the selection, for the submission, it's by the end of June. And the selection we expect that to have ready in September. And then during the ITS Congress, will be organized the startup gala, where the winners, the 5G LOGINNOV small medium enterprise winners, will be invited. Okay, and of course they will start to work in order to deploy the use cases in one of this, in one at least 3 living labs, 5G LOGINNOV living labs. 5G LOGINNOV project, has very let's say ambitious targets, and in the same time when we are dealing with applications and data, so it's very important to build trust, because without trust it's not possible to bring all these new stakeholders together. It's not possible to open new business opportunities, and it's not possible to invite other stakeholders interested to follow and to test different applications related to the ports and Industry 4.0. We like also to build a new kind of ecosystem. So it's a data-driven services, data-driven ecosystem that make use of new kind of applications, so new kind of apps. And of course, all these applications are cross-sectorial. They have a cross-sectorial nature of the 5G core technology and innovative services. So regarding the interoperability, we also take a number of standardization tasks related, and we'll also are in touch with different other 5G projects, with 5G PPP working groups, and also with different standardization bodies. So you'll see in the presentation when my colleague Peter will highlight this topic. And last but not least, so if you would like to achieve the CO2 emission target, of course, first of all, we should change our mindset. And in the same time, we should build a new kind of ecosystem, a new kind of ICT infrastructure in order to support future operations in this domain. And now we are talking more and more to develop a physical internet framework where 5G LOGINNOV, together with other projects, other flagship projects, will contribute to be the future backbone of this new kind of, let's say, paradigm in the field of transport and logistics. Thank you very much. So if there are questions, please use the chat room, and then during the panel discussion, of course, we'll answer. Now the second presentation. So the session will continue with the second presentation. So Dr. Maria Guémou from CERT, so member of the technical management team, together with Pekka Eloranta from Sitowise, that is a demo site leader, will present a show project.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Katan. I would like to share my screen, or you will...
Yes, you can share a screen, so the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, give me 1 second because I have a problem. I'm sorry for this.
Before to start, I would like to introduce Maria. Okay, so Maria Guémou is a principal researcher, member of the technical management team in SHOW at the Hellenic Institute of Transport of Center of Research and Technology, Hellas. And she's also the head of clean and automotive vehicles and of industrial design, intelligent materials, and manufacturing in transport laboratories. She's a mechanical and aeronautical engineer. Just only to introduce you, yeah. She owns a PhD on modeling for the Transport Engineering Laboratory. So Maria, please continue with the presentation.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon from my side. I'm going to give a very short overview of SHOW project in general. And we decided that instead of talking in general about SHOW, we give directly after the short introduction a proof of concept, one based on one of our test sites, which is based on Tampere, that will be given by my colleague Pekka, responsible for the site there. So about SHOW, first of all, SHOW is a rather popular project, I believe. It aims to support the deployment of shared, connected and electrified automated vehicles in urban public transport, mainly to advance sustainable urban mobility. So the focus is indeed in public transport. Of course, this encompasses the collaboration and interaction with other modes of transport. And of course, this in turn means that we involve and we deploy several types of vehicles, starting from buses, but also ending up with passenger vehicles that are shared under mass and DRT contexts. So, of course, we aim to develop all the technical background and groundwork, I would say, for making this happen. Along with the business models and the priority scenarios for impact assessment. So we have a series of cross-cutting activities that are related to defining the context, preparing the context, the physical and the digital one, the decentralized and centralized one, and the activities that will come after, the post-processing part of the results of the data that we will collect, and the impact assessment of the project. But of course, the main focus of the project is the deployment of those fleets across 20 cities in Europe for 24 months, where we aim at a real service seamless operation of at least 12 months duration in its site. We have several levels of sites. I will come back to that. However, this is the big picture. We do address, as I mentioned before, public transport in alignment with DRT, MAS, and LAS. The focus on LAS, to be honest, is much lower. Still, it is there. So the aim, the big picture is that we aim to deploy 70 automated vehicles of level 4 plus, I would say, to be more accurate, for mainly passenger and cargo transport in dedicated lanes and mixed traffic, connected to a wide range of supporting infrastructure ranging from 5G, G5 to IoT, etc., and operating under traffic speeds ranging from 18 to 50 kilometers per hour. As I said before, we have several levels of sites. The core ones, we call them mega sites, located in Sweden, Germany, France, Austria, and Spain, followed by the satellite sites, meaning that they do aim at a full operation again, but of fewer use cases, I would say, more specific use cases, targeted ones, in Finland, Denmark, the Netherlands, Italy, Greece, and Czech Republic. And we have some follower sites that have a different objective and complementing the picture of the operational sites. We also aim to work on replication of our plans and our solutions within and beyond the project. We are on month 18 of the project. The project started at 1st of January 2022. It is going to last 4 years. We are a big consortium, indeed, of 69 partners. It is coordinated by UITP, technically managed by CERT. We do have a series of twinning actions with international entities on several levels again, and the funding is around 30 million euros. This is our consortium, quite impressive, I would say. I'm still impressed. And some more words, some more specific things about the digital and communication infrastructure in the project. So is a rather distributed system, I would say, but that is somehow centrally controlled and monitored, in the sense that we allow flexibility across the sites, using their own platforms, their own systems and solutions, of course, even on digital, on digital level. Still, we do have some central digital entities like the data collection platforms and visualization layers, we call them dashboards, that aim to let's say, collectively collect, process, and visualize the key outcomes and the key performance upon our KPIs of the whole project across all the sites. Still, apart from all the other aspects, we also have hybrid approach in communication as well. So depending on what is the technology available and what is actually the best and the most mature of it available in the sites, we use 5G to 4G to 5G, ITSG5, of course, Wi-Fi. I'm sorry. We do have a series of use cases. I do not replicate here, it is too much. They all go around public transport seamless operation in real traffic. They extend from platooning to teleoperation when this is allowed from the regulation. We do work with fixed lines and non-fixed lines, dedicated lanes, non-dedicated lanes, several levels of speed, several complexity of traffic contexts. So we do have different configurations, I would say, of even the same use cases across the sites. And of course, this digital infrastructure is coupled with a related physical one, which encompasses the well-known things of roadside units, base stations, traffic light controllers, VMS, GNSS, augmentation RTK stations, sensors, on-board sensors, infrastructure sensors, web services that relate and interrelate third-party services to the system, to the local or the central system, fleet management centers that we wish finally to interact with traffic management centers as one entity in the project, and so on. This is just the architecture, the system architecture, the functional, I would say, system architecture in a nutshell. you will see that it is quite complex for the reason that exactly it aims to address both the centralized and decentralized aspects, meaning that we have a cluster of central entities, as I said before, but at the same time, we have to allow flexibility and interference with the established local entities. And the different configurations of the architecture that, of course, are not included herein is relate to the level of detail, to the level of localization, let's say, of the platforms, of the cloud platforms and the third-party platforms or not. So to be more accurate, we play around the first and the second configuration. To be honest, the third one is a rather futuristic one, but we have anticipated. I will now give the floor to my colleague Pekka Rosito-Wise to give us a proof of concept as the deployment will take place in Tampere satellite pilot site in specific, where among other they make use of 5G in specific. So Pekka?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course. Would you like me to control the slides for?
Yes, I would be happy to you to do it, so we don't have to switch presenters. So I'm going to tell you a story about Tampere satellite pilot site. So we can take the next slide, please. So for those who don't know where Tampere is, so we are in Finland and in a very beautiful area in central Finland, we're surrounded by two big lakes and a lot of water, and at the moment a lot of sun. Let's go for the next, please. Yeah. So just the background. Automated feeder transport services are very, very important for Tampere. Our major program says that we want to develop an integrated public transport system where train, tram, bus, city bikes, all services support each other. And the aim is to have autonomous buses gradually operating in feeder services in Tampere by 2021, which is now this year. And we're going to have it. We are going to start it this year. And this was, this was prepared 4 years ago. So we have a long range plans for autonomous and automated transport. Next, please. It's a bit slow. Okay, here. One of our partners in show and in Tampere is a company called Sensible4, and they have already presented the OEM path for the future development of automated and autonomous driving. And you can see the timelines that gradually starting this year, we are starting not only in the show project, but generally taken, OEMs are starting from the first and last mile applications with safety drivers to move towards totally automated and autonomous transport where you don't have safety drivers, so that perhaps by 2025 or so we could have true last mile autonomous operations in commercial settings, and then we would also be able to continue by the end of 20s towards highways where you could then have trunk lines and highway operation up to 80 kilometers an hour. So this is the thing that we are going to develop in Finland. You can see two buses in the picture. The other one is Katja, where Sensible4 started to prepare this one with Japanese company Muji, and the other one is now just published a couple of weeks ago together with Chinese companies. They are Sensible4 is going to introduce next year a automated bus with respecting all the standards and following all the standards that are available, so that it can be, let's say, mass-produced vehicle, and this is gonna take place next year. So a lot of things are happening on the OEM side. Next, please. So in Tampere, we are going to develop. The city is going to develop the integrated public transport system where everything is interrelated. So we want to develop low carbon energy efficient transport, and we have climate targets for 2030. And to make this all happen, we need seamless autonomous feeder transport services also to support the new tram line, the backbone of our public transport system. We have a lot of national activities, and we have a lot of supporting activities running in parallel with show. And we are going to start our piloting and testing in Hervanta, which is down on the left corner in the picture. But after that, we have already plans to expand our automated services to other parts of our tram line and the city of Tampere also, so that there are several places where automated public transport services will be available in the coming few years. But we will start now in Hervanta this year, and we have already 2 level 4 Toyota ProAce vans from Sensible 4 in our residential area, and 1 electric shuttle, Auotech Iseauto from VTT. And what the challenge in Tampere is that we have harsh weather conditions and snow, ice, fog, whatever you could imagine in wintertime. So this is the big issue. And we are targeting to have more buses, more vehicles are running already in 2022. At least up to 6 is in the pipeline. So a lot of let's say expanding of the services will take place during this year and especially next year. Next, please. So when it comes to 5G in Tampere, in Hervanta suburb, so let's go a bit further. So in Finland, national legislation allows remote maneuvers. So we don't have to do anything special to have a possibility to have remote controlled vehicles running on the streets. And of course, we will start with the safety drivers as we have done, but gradually we will have totally remote controlled vehicles. To make this all happen, so cybersecure remote monitoring and control are targeted. So we, to be able to do that, we need real-time communications. And of course, when we talk about real-time communications and monitoring and control, so 5G is a kind of a big thing. Monitoring and control remotely will benefit from capacity, reliability, and low latency of 5G. And this is one of the big things. In Hervanta, our test area, we also have 5G, private 5G test network or enhanced 4G LTE network that we are using, and it will be expanded and further developed. But it is in the use. And we also have a digital twin that you can see in the picture, and there's a link to the digital twin video, so that we have a total 5G and automated transport simulator, city simulator that we are using. And this is something special in Tampere. But you have to remember that when you use 5G, you also need also fiber optic connection, on the background. So this is something you shouldn't forget. So expanding 5G also always requires investments. But use of 5G in automated transport, it started very much in Finland, in show and some other projects. I'm leading one of them called 5G Safe Plus. So I'm the coordinator. But anyway, in Hervanta, we are using private 5G test network, and ITS-G5 units are also available. As a matter of fact, in Hervanta and also everywhere in Tampere, we have also LoRaWAN available if needed. The test network has already now mobile edge computing and low latency, and there are plans to update the test network so that we could have really this kind of a full-blooded 5G network. The lack of frequencies is anyway kind of a challenge. So we are negotiating about this thing with telecom operators, but the test network will be enhanced to a real network. Next, please. I'm going rather quickly, but hopefully the slides and presentations will be available for you, everybody, afterwards. Of course, when it comes to Tampere, we also have public 5G networks, and they are available and they offer a bigger bit rate, but latencies are longer. So to be able to remote control and to monitor vehicles properly, so you need low latency, and that's why the private network has been used. Short range communications versus 5G has been studied in a project called 5G Drive, carried out by VTT here in Finland, and they have some let's say remarks or experiences, like packet error rate highly increases when communication range is reached in CV2X, so PC5 communications. So this is something that has to be taken into account. And the latency variation in cellular network is higher compared to CV2X, which is short-range communications, and in this case PC5. So latency variation in cellular network is higher anyway. Obstacles, which non-line of sight obstacles, they decrease network performance, especially when you are using 5G 5.9 gigahertz band. So this is something that also the 5G Drive project has, let's say, noticed and reported. GLOSA and SPAT messages, so green light optimization. So the messages are useful for automated driving, especially when you are approaching intersection area. This is something that is very important and useful. We have in Tampere, we have the connection between the traffic lights and automated vehicles, and they can communicate. There are some challenges for the future work, like automated driving requires some kind of a hidden knowledge concerning intersection driving intentions. So you have to be able to know what is going to happen and that kind of things. And these are for the future things to be studied and developed. The available automotive sensors cannot see at the moment everything, but here the development has been very active and will continue to be very active. And I think in the future the sensors are much more effective. Interaction between manually driven cars and automated ones is a kind of a big thing that should be studied. We will be in a situation where automated and conventional vehicles are driving on the same roads for a rather long time, several years from now on. And this is something that you have to take into account. And also interaction between vulnerable road users and automated vehicles is important. Cyclists and scooter users and pedestrians and so on, how they can interact with automated vehicles. So these are some key findings that have been noticed in here in Tampere in 5G Drive project, and also in the 5G Say Plus project, which is my coordination, and then in SHOW. And these things will be continued. And the next, please. So then just briefly, we are at the moment, Sitowise is preparing an autonomous bus development path for cities and of Turku and Espoo. The work has been finalized, but it will be published in August. And we have in our let's say steering committee also our national authorities and ITS Finland regional transport authorities and operators and so on. And we will publish the report, and perhaps some kind of a translation of the experiences will be also published in the autumn. And here the emphasis has been especially on the role of 5G and ITS-G5 in automated transport, because the communications is very important, and we have a very detailed technical section in this documentation. And hopefully you will also be able to at least see the summary of the report. Next, please. I think that was here you can see pictures. Maria is on the left-hand side and I'm on the right-hand side, obviously. And we thank you and wish you all the best, and we are ready to answer the questions during the panel and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria and Pekka. So we have learned from show that there are common synergies common synergies between show and 5G LOGINNOV. In the same time, I learned that there are many challenges, so common challenges between these two projects, related, of course, to the technology, related to the traffic management system, related to the connectivity. So I think today it's a very good opportunity to learn more from all these projects and to see how we can support each other. Now let's move to the next presentation. And Oihana Otegui, that is a project coordinator at 5G Meta. She's in charge of the ITS and engineering department of Vicontech and applied research institution in San Sebastian. She has more than 15 years experience in connected, cooperative and automated mobility. Before joining Vicontech, she worked as research at Fraunhofer Institute. So Oihana, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sergio, for this kind presentation. I will try to share my screen. Let me see if you're seeing my screen now. Okay. So thank you, Sergio. So Sergio mentioned I am the coordinator of 5G Meta project. So first of all, I would like to give some kind of short overview of what 5G Meta project is. So the 5G Meta project is aiming at monetizing car and mobility data for new entrants, technology and actors. So although our main sector of application is the automotive and mobility domains, our aim is to generate a platform where we can somehow share the data and monetize the data that is generated by vehicles and mobility services. So this project was founded under 5G PBB topic on the 5G core technologies innovation. So the project started last September and will be active for 36 months. So here you can see in this slide which are the partners of this 5G Meta project. So we are 11 partners, and then we have 7 associated partners because we would like to push a lot not only the development of the platform for monetizing and sharing the data, but also giving the opportunity to SMEs and new entrants to make use and guide our developments in order to be useful for the community. So we have 7 associated partners and entities helping us somehow to have this close contact to SMEs and new high-tech companies. So going a little bit on the background of the project, so there is a lot of data being generated by a lot of devices, but the automotive domain and especially the car data that is generated can bring a lot of new opportunities around this automotive industry to generate new services and new solutions. So somehow we need kind of exploitation or a strategy to exploit this car data and achieve revenue generation and cost reduction by using this type of data. So we know that in this game there are a lot of high-tech internet giants trying to enter, or they are in, and they are trying to push a lot, which is pushing a lot of somehow pressure on the traditional OEMs and tier ones in order to also being involved in this type of activities, because this is a lot of potential business that they are going to have in the future years by using this data. So this means that we need somehow to enforce the cooperation between the high-tech community and solution and the traditional OEMs and tier ones in order to generate some kind of ecosystem where these kind of approaches on data sharing can be built on. So this will also, and we have seen in the last year that the new SMEs, technology SMEs, have been bought by either high-techs or the OEMs or tier ones, because they have this ability to adapt their solutions to the new technology demands. So our idea is somehow to try to generate this, or based on these paradigms, to provide this platform where this data can be shared in the best possible way. And for that, and inspired on the new possibilities that brings the 5G and new communication channels, the traditional CITS services. So we have, 5G Meta is trying somehow to leverage cutting-edge accepted solutions for making available this data. So in this sense, we would like somehow to deliver or develop a secure and private mass distribution of data from vehicles. We would like to deal with the data ownership, which is a key element in there, keeping the data source records and subscription accountability to control by the generators or the producer of this data, that they have somehow the full control of the data access and the utilization by trying or providing some kind of configuration type of application in order to control this accessing. Additionally, we will also like to deal with the scalable management, because the data that we are going to process, or that the data that is required to be processed, requires some kind of modular solution to enable the booking of assets at the 5G network edge to process all the incoming data flows that all these elements are generating. Also, another important topic is the geo-based range, increasing the flexibility of the services and applications to be consumed for different geolocalization and regions. The data interoperability, because all the elements are generating data, but not all the data is generated in the same way, and we need somehow to enable this interoperability to extract and exploit the maximum of the generated data. Here, the standards are going to play a major role. The real-time messaging is also another topic of interest for 5G Meta, because we will need somehow to develop specific IoT messaging frameworks, somehow enhancing the existing frameworks, because the 5G opens a new possibility of exchanging of new data. And somehow, last but not least, the flexibility for business-driven configuration, providing some kind of dashboards to configure service and application subscription from the different data consumer and data generator. So in these aspects, so 5G Meta is somehow trying to, on the one hand, generate revenues, and by generate revenues, we are meaning new value creation models for data generators and data exploitation. This will lead to a generation of new business models, so new value creation. On the other hand, cost or reducing the cost. So reducing the cost by means of shorter and efficient iteration on the design of the new functionalities or new elements, based on, for example, product optimization. And finally, trying to increase the safety and security with other users and public entities getting triggers on time, reduce the intervention of any public authorities. In this sense, the main objective of 5G Meta would be to create a flexible telematics platform for pipelining car capture and generated data to traditional and new automotive industry players, while ensuring the data privacy, security, interoperability, and ownership. Okay. So also, as I mentioned before, we would like somehow to centered on the business-driven design by enabling via new APIs and the architectures to license and granting access to the data that is being generated and is being somehow stored in the 5G Meta platform. And we would like also to have the SMEs and the real data consumers into account from the very beginning of the projects. And that's also we are focused on the technology transfer activities in there. So the project's concept, the first question that we have is why we are generating this. I have mentioned before is in order to enable all the database new activities and new services. So in this sense, the 5G Meta project is somehow based on three main pillars for making use of the data. The first one is the data-driven product innovation, where we are looking for or somehow enabling the product and enhancement via improving or personalizing the customer experience, product augmentation by enabling or by providing new data and new car sensor data accompanied by the cloud. And also as a data-driven product innovation, the data itself as a product. The second big pillar looks for data-driven process innovation. Here we are targeting two types of processes. The first one is the enterprise process innovation by enabling and making a more efficient internal R&D processes from enterprises. And the second one is more dedicated to customer processes by optimizing the direct impact on the customer. And the third one is the data-driven business innovation by somehow providing value model innovation and the monetization itself of the model innovation. In the project concept, so what we are targeting, as we have mentioned before, is somehow to build an ecosystem where all the stakeholders can somehow to co-live and cooperate together. From the traditional OEMs and tier ones to some new SMEs and new entrants to quickly and efficiently develop new solutions and services on the mobility sector. The concept before, as we have mentioned, it's allowed that all the previous actors somehow to exploit all the relevant data, and the exploitation will depend on the geolocalization, as I have mentioned at the very beginning, where we are somehow trying to develop a geo-built modules for the exploitation of the data. In all the regions, the data and the requirements are going to vary depending on the services that we would like to develop in there. So we are somehow geo-fencing all the data consumption. From the concept point of view, we have two main pillars. The first main pillar is how to deal with the communication and with the 5G and how to enable the processing and the data management through the complete pipeline from the data generator to the backend. And the second one is how we are dealing with this data through the pipeline, through the process, how we process all this data, and how we generate valuable data to be exploited. In this sense, the project methodology is somehow divided into main pillars. The first one is the technological pillar, where we are going to develop the technology, the technology needs that we have mentioned before, the 5G slicing and all the 5G communication channel management, and the second one for the data generation and the data management. And the second big pillar is how we are going to validate that and how we are going to take into account the requirements of these end users of this platform. So we are going somehow to include and organize hackathons and activities with SMEs and high tech companies in order from the very beginning to ensure that we are covering all the requirements that they have somehow in mind. Additionally, and somehow to finalize, we are going to test the platform that we have just presented in 3 main use cases, covering the 3 pillars that I presented before. The first one is somehow to develop or try to enhance the product and service optimization by testing somehow an R&D live training loop for the development of new functionalities on automated driving, where we are dealing with the data that is generated by the vehicles in order to retrain these functionalities almost in real time. The second one is somehow to provide services. Here we are dealing with network parking service on an smart city, where we are dealing with how to optimize the parking management of a city. And the third one is for enhancing the safety and security of the mobility by enabling a service on driving safety and awareness. So in conclusion, the 5G Meta project is aiming at create a platform for ingest and deliver car data, the generation of innovative SICAM services and application. We would like also to catalyze the generation of new business and opportunities via hackathons, including SMEs and new high companies. Define new business model that we could see in the future by the exploitation of the data that we are gathering, and somehow push and develop the 5G edge infrastructure life cycle. And this will be all represented and tested and validated with the use cases. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Johanna. So we have learned many things from your presentation. So I would like to highlight that everything is moving around data. So demand data, supply data, capacity data, data analytics, database mobility and smart services, data product innovation driven, new kind of business models. But in the same time, we're facing the same challenges related to security, related to privacy, related to scalability, and to the interoperability. So now I would like to introduce the next speaker. So Peter Schmitting. He's manager in the field of connected automated driving at Ertico. He's expert in standardization and interoperability. He's involved in many activities related to standardization in the field of ITS logistic domain. He's also involved in 5G LOGINNOV, 5G NETA, Phoenix, and Show, where he is responsible for the standardization activities. So I kindly invite Peter to start, so to see his approach and the red line across of all these projects. Peter, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Eusebio. I hope you can see my screen now, because I'm trying to be fast to catch up a bit on the delay we are having already. So these are going to be my 10 minutes of fame, and I'm going to talk about the focus on standardization in the 3 projects. So all 3 of the projects have a dedicated task on standardization. So in 5G LOGINNOV, it's T5.4, called Standardization and Spectrum. In 5G Meta, it's task 7.5, recommendations to authorities and standardization bodies. And in Show, it's activity 15.6, standardization and certification. And now I'm going to give a very short look into each project, what the objectives are. So for 5G LOGINNOV, the objective of this standardization task T5.4 is to facilitate the interoperability between 5G-based service providers and other industry stakeholders. And the step to that interoperability are to carry out an initial survey of the major ICT solutions. Concerning the logistics operations, you've heard it's a project mainly on logistics in 3 pilot sites and related data models. Then to analyze the possible interoperability schemes with the involved mobile network operators, and also to identify a basic standard framework for the integration of a new 5G based services linked to specification. And this will be done also with other projects that had EU funding, so with Autopilot, 5G Monarch, and working groups from 5G AA and ITU. So this is going to be a major task, and we're going to see how we can do a basic standard framework, which could be quite a challenge. So I can add that this task has not yet started. I think it starts a bit later in the year, so I cannot give much information of what has happened so far. Let's come to the next one, to 5G Meta, where I said it's called task 7.5. There we have a scope that is defined in the grant agreement to the project, which reads, this task will be in close relation to all the relevant 5G CAM stakeholders, discussing the results of the project that might become recommendations to authorities and standardization bodies. The conclusions will be discussed with other 5G PPP projects to align views. So you see, again, we have the cooperation with other projects in the field, but this time interoperability is not explicitly mentioned, but this time it's recommendation to authorities and standardization. So it's a bit slightly different scope, but into the same direction, let's say. And the result we are expecting is a report with these recommendations then about aspects related to the 5G standardization, regulation, and policies. This task has just recently been kicked off. I'm the leader of this task, and we're going to see how we can achieve these topics, and especially how, as a project, we can do recommendations, especially to authorities and standardization bodies. So for standardization bodies, I think this should be not such a big problem but to authorities, we have to think how we're actually going to do that. But as I said, we just started. And now, last but not least, I have the show project that has the objectives a bit more explicitly defined. The first objective is adhere to standards. Of course, all the different pilot sites that Maria described in her earlier presentation, they have to follow standards when deploying the pilot site operations they're doing. So explicitly mentioned in the description of show ETSI, TC-ITS, the ISO TC204 and the CEN TC278 groups, which also deal with ITS. And then there are many other applicable standards organizations. There's GS1, there's SAE, there's the World Customs Organizations. There are plenty of other standards organizations. And currently we are trying to build a picture which specifications from which standardization organization are in use in the project, and to see a bit who is actively working in which group, to get a roadmap ready on how to proceed on the standardization activities in show. So the next objective is contribute to standards. Now standards are used in the project, as I said, as we adhere to standards. So maybe during implementation of the standards or the procedures in the standards, we'll find some gaps in specifications or shortcomings, and then we would need to report those. Or some of the project's results are innovative enough that we think, oh, this could be a good candidate to become a specification in the standardization organization. And if we have such cases, gaps or shortcomings or project results that are worth standardization, we of course have to actively represent show at standardization meetings. This means create change requests, well, to cater for these identified gaps and shortcomings, or to create new work items to get show results out as internationally recognized specifications in the end. And of course, to present show at standardization workshops and conferences to raise the awareness of show. So these were the 3 projects, but now looking what's in common. So we found a few things that are in common. Follow standards. Of course, all projects should use existing standards. Report to standardization. As I said, if we find something in the standard that's not correct or something is missing, we have to report that. And then we have to contribute to standardization. With the gap, we make a change request. With a new project result we think should become a specification, we make a new work item. And then we can influence standardization and regulation. That was in 5G Meta. We have to think about how we can influence standardization. Well, we go to the meetings, but regulation, there we have to see how we do that, probably to the local national partners. This is for further study, but we have to go that way. Then, of course, present the projects, raise awareness of the project during standardization meetings, and then hopefully one day we can meet all face to face. This will include coffee breaks and personal meetings to raise the awareness of these projects and their results. And of course, all that with a final objective to ensure interoperability between the pilot sites and also beyond. And that was mentioned several times, for the different projects, cooperate with other projects. So we have to be in contact with the other projects. So a wide field of things, but now we have to take care, you know, life's a jungle of standards. So because we have to see, there are so many groups, how can we follow? As a project, we are not in the standardization, but the different partners are. So maybe somebody is going to 5G, somebody is going to ISO, somebody is partner in GSMA. 3GPP is of course an important group for all 5G related standardization activities. SAE for the more ITS related work. ITU for everything that goes with radio spectrum. ETSI, not to forget. Also CEN, so the European sister committee to ISO TC2 for 204, for example. So a lot of different things we have to consider. So as I said, life's a jungle of standards. So we have to become somehow the Tarzan in this jungle, so to be the king. And well, this is going to be the task in those 3 projects. And hopefully we are going to achieve then good work and good results in standardization with the final aim to have interoperable specifications, interoperable services and procedures and methodologies. So that's all. As I said, we have to be the Tarzan in this jungle. So here he comes. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much. And maybe if you have some questions, they can be asked later in the panel session. Thank you very much. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Peter. So you gave a very good overview of the standards that should be taken in all these projects. So I'm convinced that this exercise will continue during the ITS World Congress. So we also propose a common session and also during the next common events. Now it's time to move to the second part, where Dr. Joanna Zanidaki, Director of Innovation of Deployment at Electrified ITS Europe, will be the chairman of the panel session.
Thank you, Eusebio. Let me turn on my camera, and I would like also all the panelists to turn on their cameras. We don't have a lot of time, but I would like to, if you allow me, start by introducing one of the panelists that didn't have the opportunity to speak in the technical session or technical part of this session before. So I'm talking about Daniele Brevi from Links Foundation. He has more than 15 years of experience in the telecommunication field. He received his master's degree in telecommunication engineering at Politecnico di Torino in 2003, and he was in the board of directors of a public utility for 3 years. He is a senior researcher at Links, following CCAM activities and being involved in several European and regional projects on this topic. So his work focuses on the creation of real use cases based on a suite of internally developed proofs of concept like OBU for vehicles, bicycle and drones, roadside units with edge AI capabilities, edge software for CCAM, etc. His fields of expertise are cooperative and connected vehicles, edge computing, 5G, Wi-Fi, wireless connectivity for the industrial environment. So now we know everyone in the panel, and welcome again. We had a very interesting discussion, set of presentations on the different projects. We heard about the various applications of the 5G and how these are explored and exploited, or we are trying to exploit them in the three projects, the 5G LOGINNOV, the show, and 5G Meta. So now allow me to go straight to the point and ask you to give us a bit of information about the impact of 5G on the different aspects, because of course this is a discussion about challenges and in the three projects. So I would like to start with Maria, with Maria and Pekka. If you can give us a bit of information on how do you see the impact of 5G on connected automated driving, because show is all about public transport, CCAM in public transport. So I see Pekka, I don't see Maria, but I guess Maria is there. I'm not guessing.
Maria is there,
So,
but I would like to give the floor to Pekka first because he has a deeper insight, I would say, and a direct insight on the impact as they are already operating and testing things. So Pekka, would you like to start and I may complement?
Perfect. Pekka, you're muted.
We still cannot hear you. Why? Johanna, can you hear him? I cannot.
No, I can't. And I'm wondering, shall we give you a bit more time, Pekka? So I should direct the question to
You cannot hear me.
Danielle?
No,
I
no.
can hear you.
No, it's fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I was muted by the organizer. I couldn't do anything. So I want to be very brief because we don't have very much time. So there has been quite a lot of discussions. Do we need 5G for automated transport, for example, because we have autonomous vehicles? Okay, autonomous vehicles may be able to survive and operate even without 5G. That's the fact. But if you want to have remote control and remote monitoring systems, so that you can really see what's happening and intervene if needed. So absolutely, we need to have something with reliability, low latency, and a lot of capacity, and so on. And in addition to public transport, if we want to monitor autonomous or automated vehicles, cars on the highways, so you have to have something. And then perhaps 4G capacity is not anymore enough. Of course, we have to remember that also 6G is coming, and it may open a lot of other doors. But for example, we have tested in 5G Save Plus and 5G Save, the previous, let's say the project before 5G Save Plus. We have tested video streaming between vehicles and that kind of things, which are not possible without 5G. So personally, I think if we want to have remote control, secure and safe operations without safety driver, and you want to be able to intervene when something happens, you need something with low latency and a lot of capacity and reliability. So obviously we need 5G.
Yeah, I would just like to complement, if you allow me, because exactly this is, at least from my insight across the show project, multiple operations, is that indeed 5G is expected to bring a value and is rather necessary, if not mandatory. And in more specific, as Becca said, for teleoperation, telesupervision, but also teleoperation of automated fleets. However, it is true, because we need to be accurate and true, that the automation to me is not ready yet to host 5G, if you would say, because the specific safety handover strategies that in case something is happening even with 5G have not been found, are not clear. And it is, I mean, when we don't have a safety driver, because this is the vision, and we have simply teleoperation of the vehicles, and we have 5G network, even in that cases, we have seen so far that first of all, 5G is not stable or equally stable and mature across Europe, of course. And on second hand, automation is not ready. I mean, in the context of the handover strategies for emergency events if 5G fails, and it happens.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, thank you, Maria and Pekka. Shall I go to Daniele and Johanna? It's the same question actually. What do you think is the impact of 5G on big data? For example, you were discussing about 5G Meta. Johanna presented it. It's the monetizing of car and mobility data. So shall I start with ladies first? Always.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, 5G will enable new services and new business model that we have not seen until the moment. Why? Because the possibility of moving a lot of data from one point to another. Also dealing with the data in the process where we are moving this data from one point to the other. So this will enable new services and business in general in the mobility world. Okay, so I think that this is something that will have a lot of impact in the future, and we still are just at the beginning trying to figure out which are going to be these services or these new businesses that we are going to build, and hopefully the 5G Meta project helps in figuring out which one are they. Additionally, on the automotive side, on the automated driving, the 5G system, as the show project have mentioned, will enable the safety operation and safety maneuvering that the other communication channels do not permit. So having some kind of cooperative maneuver is something that we need somehow to have this kind of low latency services. And this is something that with the 5G, we will enable that. Of course, that the 5G, we need somehow to still figure out how we are going to deal with all these safety issues, what happens if the 5G fall out and things like that. But it's a main enabler for pushing forward the automated driving.
Indeed, yes. So thank you, Johanna. Daniele, what do you think? I mean, we're talking about the 5G connectivity capacity and data transfer. Do you want to add some impact more on this?
Yes, thank you. In my opinion, I want to highlight one of the main technical aspects that is important to realize the thing that has been cited by Pekka and by Johanna. So this is edge computing. And more in details, I would refer to the ETSI view of edge computing, so the multi-access edge computing. So this is important for sure for low latency, but also for example, for the scalable collection of data coming from the field and from vehicles. And some years ago, for example, low latency use cases were only possible using direct vehicle-to-vehicle communication. But today, also using 5G and MEC together, we can achieve very, very good performances in considering the delay. And so we can have also safety use case released use 5G. This is one of our main role, both in show and in 5G Meta. And for example, in SAPA's project, we achieve very low delays on the field with an edge computing application. For example, we can achieve less than 200 milliseconds for the time when we detect a dangerous situation with the camera, so also considering the processing video time, to the moment when we can send and when the information about this possible dangerous situation reach the user. So this is something good, and I think there is still room to achieve better results. But MEC is also important not only for low delays, but also for scalability and for context awareness. And I think also that MEC is not opposite to cloud, but they have to work together, and we can achieve a local awareness that is done by the MEC with a global awareness that is done by the cloud, and putting these together, we can achieve good results and new use cases.
Perfect. So you're talking about edge computing, low latency, safety, and we heard also it was Maria, I think she was talking about remote systems monitoring. And now let me direct this question to my dear colleague Eusebio Katana. When you started, Eusebio, this session and you're presenting 5G LOGINNOV, you said 5G is the drive of innovation in logistics, and innovation, new value creation, data models, new business models, and so on, something that all speakers touched upon, and also Oriana. Tell us, Eusebio, tell us about the impact of 5G on transport and logistics from the perspective of 5G LOGINNOV.
Thank you very much, Joanna. So indeed, 5G technology, it's one of the main enabler for any transport and logistic use case, and not only. In the same time, I would like to highlight that data, so we've seen in all projects, not only in 5G LOGINNOV, so data represent the new kind of fuel for the 21st century, because any application aims to use data exchange and innovative services. In the same time, of course, all these kind of applications should support logistic parties, logistic suppliers, shippers, and so on and so on. Because as part of this use case related to data, so just only several examples. So publishing capacity and demand data, for instance, for freight, publishing of warehouse capacity supply, viewing and searching of warehouse capacity supply data, data analytics, and so on. In the same time, 5G LOGINNOV, together with the other projects, are based on three main pillars of sustainability. So namely planet, people, and profit, because it's very important to highlight that all these use cases will bring a new level of efficiency related to the cost of operation, to reduce the cost of operations, related to increase the reliability. Of course, in 5G LOGINNOV, this is related to port delivery, but also at the same time, it's to improve the total service time in port delivery. Related to CO2, I think we have seen also in show and 5G Meta, that new applications will reduce the congestions in different areas. So in cities areas, in port areas, port city areas, redistribute the traffic in cities, in port areas, and so on. And at the same time, of course, using these new kind of technologies, we'll try to open the market for small medium enterprises and innovative startups, because many potentially new use cases might bring extra added value to our projects.
Yeah, indeed. And you were talking about the launching of an open tender for SMEs to
yes, exactly.
to deploy the use cases in one of the labs in 5G LOGINNOV.
Exactly.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I wanted to ask you so much more. I don't see, we don't have a lot of time. Allow me to make a, oh no, actually, I would ask you, what is the one word that characterizes the 5G impact? I mean, we saw the commonalities, we saw the common challenges, we saw how all the three projects are going to generate new services, new solution, innovation, and so on. But if you would characterize how the 5G can change the future business ecosystems in one word, what would be this? This is how we should be ending. Can you say one word or two?
Yes,
because
I can start. Scalability and security. 2 words, scalability and security.
Perfect. Thank you. Oyana.
Orchestration.
Orchestration. Fantastic. Pekka.
Enabler.
Enabler. Thank you. Maria.
More.
More. Excellent. Daniele, what is your 1 or 2 words?
For me, it's edge.
Edge. Edge. Okay, perfect. We have these fantastic words. It sounds like a word cloud. I think we can use it at the end when we write about it in an article about the session. I mean, I wanted to say that we had the opportunity to see 3 projects at a glance, very, very fast. We are very privileged, I think, to have this this bigger picture on what is happening in the 5G in show, in 5G meta, in 5G LOGINNOV, and see these solutions that you're all working on data privacy, cybersecurity. We had also Peter, our colleague, talking about interoperability and standardization, which is very, very important. I think we leave this session wiser than we entered. And I would like to thank everyone very, very much, the panelists, the organizers, and the guests. So I wish you a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.